Check this out, guys. I wrote this over 20 years ago. It's amazing. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Tyre Nichols, this is in your memory. Check it out. Dropping whoppers on the coppers, only proper when F with. Now everyone will shoot a gun, but what am I left with? I never knew a man in blue that didn't mistrust me. The staring is a daring, now they're raring to bust me. The bully club, they like to dub a nigga be good stick. They dummy like a door and then they say nigga rigged it. Now if they really wanted, they could stop all that drug flow. But Bush is on his tush, check out the bug flow. Bush is ready and willing to run over when it pertains to high class, but you can bet he ain't budging when judging the bludgeoning of a black ass. So it's not surprising when the guys in blue kill G. They never fought the thought that taught the brothers are guilty. It's shoot to kill every time they feel overpowered. And that's why they should never put a badge on a coward. What's up, guys? This is the Gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. And guys, I want to discuss more about this Tyre Nichols tragedy. Okay, by now, all of us who can stomach it have watched that video footage of Tyre being killed by those 5 black police officers. 5 black police officers killed a black man in cold blood with their hands, beating him down, all types of brutality in 2023. Guys, there is no excuse for this. Now, let's get to this before I even get any further, okay? I know that there's a lot of people out there who don't want to acknowledge the extra disgusting factor that's on this because these police officers are black. There's a lot of people who are saying, there's nothing to see here. It's police officers. Police officers kill people every day. There's nothing special about this. But guys, ignoring the aspect of this that shows that it's black men killing black men is negligent at best, okay? Just keep in mind, guys, I'm always the first person to point out what our children see, okay? So every time there's a police brutality killing in the black community, we always talk about, what are we gonna tell the children? What am I gonna tell my child? There's a war on black people out here! But then you see something like this. You know the children are watching, okay? So we don't get to ignore the extra aspect of the fact of this matter, okay, which is black men in uniform killing black men. Now look, let me just point something out here, guys. You guys know I've talked about this before over the years, all right? I did a video a few years ago called October 16th, 1995, a day that history will forget, but I never will. You see, that was the anniversary date of the Million Man March in Washington, D.C., where over 1 million black men came together in 1995 to take personal responsibility for our actions and for our destiny. Okay, that video was called A Date That History Will Forget because, of course, history doesn't talk about it. Every October 16th, nobody says shit. Nobody says a peep about the Million Man March. And why? Because that was when black men stood up and said, regardless of everything else, we're not going to blame anybody else. We're taking responsibility for our actions. All right, and for our place in our family. Now, of course, that message went over a lot of black men's head over the years, but it really helped to define me. Okay, I went there with my father, and I'll never forget it. Okay, so really, that is a lot of the perspective that I have with situations like this. The last thing I am going to do in this particular situation is say, what about white cops? What about white supremacy? What about white? I told you guys, pull yourself out of the ass of white people long enough to be responsible for what's going on with us. Yes, we all know history. I am not dispelling the terrible racist history of America, but this is 2023. All right, I am a grown man. There is no such thing as I'm just fighting the man. I'm the man in my house. Okay, that's me. So when I do something wrong, the last thing I'm going to do is say, I was raised by a single mother. I was raised without a good relationship with my father. I was raised under white supremacy. No, I'm a strong man, okay? A strong man. That means that I am responsible for my grown ass and all of the people who are around me under my responsibility. That's what that means. So, going forward, when I see a situation like this, when I see 5 grown black men beating on another black man, I am going to address it, okay? There is no deflection from me, at me, nothing. I'm not tolerating it. So you can get in my comment section and talk about, well, white people this and white people that, and you're letting them off the hook. No, no, no. It's like when you jump into a snake pit and you get bit by a snake. Remember, that's what snakes do, okay? So if we have established that there's a problem with the police force, there's a problem with it systemically, there's a problem with it racially and all of that. We have established that, okay? So if you get into that and you become, or you want to be the change that you want to see in the world, I've been to a lot of police academy graduations, okay? So a lot of those young brothers, they come in there, they want to do right and everything like that. All right, when you become a part of it, then you want to make a change. When something like this happens, you have to analyze what the hell happened. Okay, because I'm not here to just say that the guys who beat that man to death were just out and out evil. Something went wrong. Okay, when human beings, especially 5 of them, do something like that, something went terribly wrong. It was groupthink. It was a terrible spirit that came over all of them, where they would relentlessly beat another man like that who didn't commit crimes. I've seen dudes who were serial killers, who were taken into custody, more humane than that. As far as I know, we have yet to find out anything illegal that Tyree did. All right, they say that he was driving reckless. Okay, people drive reckless every day. Do you get your fucking ass beat like that for a situation like that? I don't think so. All right, there's something else at play that's going on here, and we have to analyze it. We have to look at it, and then we have to look at what's going on in these hoods. We have to look at the very culture that these police officers came from. And this is what I talk about all the time, all right? The culture of death that we're cultivating in our youngsters. All right, now we've been dealing with this for a long time. All right, that rhyme that I just did at the top of this video, man, that was from over 20 years ago. You can hear the reference to George Bush. I don't even remember if that was Bush 1 or Bush 2. Times never change. All right, but you hear that. And I did that to illustrate to you how times never change. As a matter of fact, this hat that I'm wearing now is a tribute to Eric Garner. I believe his last words were, "This stops now," or "this stops today." But at the time I heard it as "it ends today." So that's the reason why it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But it's a generational thing, and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. All right. And the only time that it's going to stop is when we stop it, because of course the rest of the world, and I made a video talking about this as well. Last year, I titled the video, "No one is going to care about us or respect us until we respect ourselves." It starts here. Okay, so you guys are trying to start from the outside in, who want to talk about white supremacy and want to talk about, all of this stuff. But in a situation like this, it begs for us to do deep introspection about what's going on and why we find it acceptable as a people, all right? Because we are part of a community that is part of a world, okay? I love the human world. I love the human community. But within that human community, there are sub-communities, all right? And in those sub-communities, you'll find different cultures, the white culture, the black culture, Indian, Latino, things like that. So when you see that some ill comes from your particular community, then you have to identify what's going on. And like I said before, when you go into some of these hoods, in the black community, this is what you see every day. I've seen it with my own eyes. Mobs of black kids beating on a black kid, all right? Kicking him in the head. Exactly what we saw just now. Those officers, so-called officers, they're no officers, all right? But those officers fought like girls. All right, girls, and no disrespect to girls, all right, but I notice girl fights are particularly vicious. They will beat you all in your head, you know what I mean? And that, I gotta say, in regards to the beating, that was easily one of the worst beatings I have ever seen in my life. I'm talking about police in police custody. All right. The way they kept assaulting that man in his head. How did you think he wasn't going to die? All right. Now, keep in mind, I come from a law enforcement family. All right. So I know how heavy those steel tip shoes are that police officers wear. When you get a running start and kick a human being in the head, you are no longer seeing them as human, okay? Now, as a black man, to do that to another black man, remember, the problem has always been dehumanization when you look at police brutality. White people, they don't always see us as human beings. So what's the excuse for a black man who does something like that repeatedly? Black men, for that matter, to keep doing that to another black man. All right. It's bad enough for a human being to do that to another human being. But listen, we can't ignore this particular aspect. Yes, the problem is systemic. I talked about that on my last video. But now it's time for men to talk to men. Okay, because women are out there and they're watching. You know, black women, they're wondering. You hear videos all the time. It's gotten so bad. I hear women on videos talking about they want to abort their black sons. That's how deep the self-hatred goes in the black community. Somebody told me that my mom should have aborted me because she disagreed with something I was talking about. But you know what? You got to keep on telling the truth, man. And the truth is, the black community in a lot of ways is very, very sick. Okay, we've internalized more than we should ever internalize, and we should be talking about stuff like this. But unfortunately, what ends up happening is people want you to shut up because white people are watching. White people are watching. It's not that bad. You're gonna air dirty laundry. The whole fucking world sees our dirty laundry, bro. They see it. Okay, it's all over World Star Hip Hop. It's all over Twitter. People are dropping these videos. Black people jumping over counters. You know, going the hell off. You know, everybody sees it. So why can't we talk about it? Okay. It's like, okay, I have a wide audience. There's white people in my audience. All right. If it wasn't, then I probably only have like 2 subscribers, you know, because a lot of black people, they just don't want to hear it. And they sure as hell don't support other black content creators. They just don't. People wonder, Mark, why do you just have 11K subs? It's because I don't get a lot of the support, you know, from the very community that a lot of times that I'm talking to. And like I said, I'm talking to a human community. I welcome and love my white viewers. All right. But I'm just saying there's a difference when you look at it at the end of the day about the support that you get from the people that it supposedly come from your community. All right. So you see this. You see the brutality of black people. You see the disregard that we have on each other. And to deny that is just to be in the deepest pits of denial. All right, we have to talk to those who don't know better. If you're raising your family the right way and you're raising them with self-love and compassion and respect, that's great. But don't deny that there's a lot of people out here who are not, to the point where it is our own personal epidemic of violence and disrespect and disregard and stunted growth and arrested development. It is, okay? So you can say, you know, there's plenty of black people that's doing good. There's plenty, of course. You can say there's plenty of decent black people. Of course, I consider myself to be one of them. But guess what? If someone tells you that you have cancer in one finger, why would you say, I have 9 more? That doesn't concern me. These other 9 fingers are doing great. No, you have to look at it, man. You have to look at what's going on, and then you have to condemn the people. You have to deal with the people who are bringing the rest of us down. This shit has gone on long enough. We have to, all right? We have to at this point, because if we're going into the force, and believe me, I told you, I come from a law enforcement family. I know there's plenty of black cops and everything out there that were doing just great. But those black cops have to speak up right now. It's vital to speak up right now. Being quiet is not an option now, okay? Because we need the trust of those who police our community. And yes, we do need police in our community because we haven't learned how to respect one another. We have grandmothers who are afraid in their own homes in these hoods. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your fucking hurt feelings. Why are you saying this? You're embarrassing black people. I love black people. I love all people. All lives matter. They do. And that starts with my own, all right? I'm not capping for anybody's organization. When I say I don't agree with Black Lives Matter, it's the organization of people who are living up in big homes and mansions and shit. I'm not talking about the concept that Black Lives Matter. Of course it does. All right. But we have to look out for one another at this point, and we can't afford to not look at what's going on. Those black men who did what they did, I don't believe for a minute they got up in the morning and decided they were going to go kill another black man. But something deep rooted came out in that moment, when they were embarrassed because they pepper sprayed each other and didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were not well trained. I don't believe any of them had over 6 years experience. You know, so we have to look at it so we can prevent this thing from happening. All right. We're just not a generation that's just going to live and die. We have to pass something on to our children to give them a deeper understanding so that things like this might not continue to happen. That's the point. We have to come from a place of love. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't stop hiding your head up your ass. We have to look at this. Those black men should be ashamed. All right. And when they go to face their justice, when they go to jail, unfortunately, bro, I hope you get what you deserve. All right. Because you fucked up. You did that. That life that you took appeared to be a good life. It doesn't mean that he was perfect, but he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to die mere steps away from his mother's place, screaming out, "Mom." As black men, we're supposed to understand one another. And if we don't, nobody else will. That's the reason why we can't afford to look away from this. As black men, as a black man who went to the Million Man March, I pledged myself to be accountable for this. I am not deflecting to white people on this one. All right, we're not going to have that discussion. We're not going to have that argument on this one before we can agree first to be accountable for ourselves. Then we can talk about the very real legacy of so-called white supremacy. God, I hate that term. All right, but still, if you want to talk about the legacy of racism, the undeniable legacy of racism, the undeniable history of black men or slaves, black men who were enslaved, who whipped on other black men to make an example out of them. I guess I'll leave an image of that in the thumbnail. Because that is part of our history. Whenever the slave master wanted to punish or even kill a slave, he would get a big buck, big Mark with a C looking black man, you know what I mean, to stand over another black man and beat him half to death. All right. So I can't help but see the parallels in a situation like this. And we have to learn from that, because back then those men were enslaved. Today, we are not. We are free thinking adult men, and it's time we start to act like it. All right, guys, that's it for this particular statement on this matter. Let me know how you feel about this in the comment section, guys. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.